To understand how Amish treat child SA, you have to understand that there are many different denominations of Amish. I don't know that one specific person can tell you all the variety of ways in which they might specifically treat child SA, but I can tell you that in different communities they might treat it differently. I have personally sat in kneeling confessions of victims of child SA in an Amish church. That was an old order Amish church. Just like I personally know an old order Amish bishop who has called law enforcement and reported child SA to law enforcement. I also know that my old order Amish brother has reported child SA to law enforcement. His name is Sam, and he told me I'm allowed to tell you all that. There's also Amish people, and many Amish people, who don't believe in reporting to law enforcement. And if somebody in the settlement reports to law enforcement, they often might be disciplined by the church. Church discipline might look like having a kneeling confession in front of the church. They might be put into bond. They might be shunned. They might be also isolated and not included, which is part of shunning, even if they're not formally shunned. There can be a lot of consequences if somebody does report to law enforcement and the church does not approve of it. I also know that the community of origin where I escaped from, they would put somebody into bond for 6 weeks and shun them and call it good. I know that another community that I lived in believed in sending people off to facilities like Whispering Hope. And if you want to know about Whispering Hope, you can investigate by looking up the Gideon Miller case from Loganton, PA. The truth is, there isn't just one grand answer. We can't overgeneralize, because there's also a group of Amish men led by Marlon Schrock who travels around and tries to teach people. I have a whole blog series that I've written about the content that I heard when I attended these meetings. And the point is, again, to understand, you have to understand that there's different denominations of Amish people, and that not one single person might have all the answers to every way that Amish people might treat perpetrators of child SA, or even SA in general. By and large, though, overwhelmingly, victims of child SA from within Amish communities have been blamed for it, they have been shamed for it, and they have been taught that it is their fault because of booklets like To a Girl of 11, or even because of the ideology that exists within the booklet To a Girl of 11, where it says, among many horrendous things, suggesting that you climb up on a ladder in front of your brother is inviting him to sin. It's gross. It's disgusting. These booklets are promoted in a book called For the Sake of a Child that was co-written by an old order Mennonite man named Alan Hoover and Jeanette Harder as acceptable and recommended for teaching children SA. For teaching children prevention of SA climate is teaching your girls not to climb up on ladders in front of your brother. And just because you might never have seen it doesn't mean that these booklets are not being used, or were not being used, or even the ideology in these booklets were not being used by your parents or your community, because some of this stuff was preached. And some of this stuff was preached in all 5 communities that I lived in. And also, the booklets, they come in a box that says for parents only. And parents are instructed to keep their children from reading them. So even if parents are incorporating ideology from these booklets, their children might never know about it. And once again, I just like to stress that there is no one-size-fits-all answer here. Thank you. Have a good day.